Okay, so welcome everyone back to my third episode of the podcast, Discuss. And today my guest is Markus Heuchert. He is a PhD student or a former PhD student from the University of Münster in informatics, or actually business informatics is probably like the more correct translation.
It's information systems. Hello everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, information systems. So that is business and computer science.
Yeah,
mixed
together.
Okay. So was it like your first intention when you went to university? Did you know what would like expect you when you first started doing that?
Hard to tell. Like, I knew that my interests were somewhere in between, like computer science and some business administration stuff. And when I was in 11th grade or so, I looked up, I don't know, different fields of study and found that in German it's Wirtschaftsinformatik. It loosely translates to information systems, but directly it's more like business informatics, if you want to put it that way. Mm-hmm. And I found that this is the stuff I was looking for, because I knew that the like isolated fields of study would be too narrow, and I'm happy with the choice.
Okay. So you were interested in computer science before, actually, and
yeah.
So, but I mean, when you combine like business studies and computer science, I mean, then you kind of work in. I mean, you can work in both, like, fields later, right? You can work in computer science only, doing maybe software or programming, I don't know. But you can also work like as a consultant or something, maybe.
Yeah, it's basically this intersection between the business world and the IT world. And as probably most of you know, is there's a problem when these two worlds like want to talk to each other, because simply put, the IT guys speak a different language than the business guys. And the job of information systems, or a graduate of information systems, is to connect these two worlds and be a mediator, basically. Mm-hmm. Be it like in more IT related stuff, so leading software development projects, or translating like strategic goals from the business back to the systems that work in an enterprise or something like that. Mm-hmm. Okay. But it's like a diverse field.
Okay, so to combine like just business insights maybe, and business development with like IT things, or like how to maybe realize like business goals through IT solutions, maybe,
or analyze things, because you have like a basic knowledge of how the economy works, how businesses work. And in this big field of data analytics or machine learning, how you want to put it, it's always the thing that you do not only analyze data just to I don't know, get a big number at the end out of the calculations, but you always need to understand what impact does this generate on the business. And for this you need to understand how it works and what like factors could influence it, make it more valuable for the company, and stuff like that. So I think for like data scientists like jobs, information systems graduates are also well suited.
Okay, well suited. Okay, I understand. No, that's cool. That is pretty cool. But you mentioned machine learning. Like, so did you like scratch that? Did you have something to do with that during your study course?
Yeah, you can specialize on that, basically.
Okay.
And I don't know, do some stuff related to working with different machine learning algorithms, something that is denoted as AI in some places at least, or basically analyze data with Excel. It's not really machine learning, but the step that comes before that, basically the more primitive version of it. But you can do that also. I decided to look into this in my master's a bit for like 2 courses or so. I did a track that's called business intelligence. So that's one term that is related to machine learning and so on. But when finishing the master's degree, I thought, okay, that's interesting, but it's not the stuff I want to do. And then decided to focus on other topics that are more, let's say, general purpose in the field of working as an information systems graduate.
Okay, I understand. So because like that's I think a thing which is just where people are like really interested in like machine learning, artificial intelligence, all these things that improve and
these are like buzzwords, but in general it's a good thing that people are interested in and want to learn these things also if they do not have an IT background.
Yeah. So do you think it's possible to do that when you don't have an IT background to learn that actually?
Definitely, because there's so many resources online. I don't know, take Udemy or YouTube even. So people that put videos on the web where they show how you can analyze some dummy data set and derive some insights from it. Actually working with some tools that allow this analysis. So Python or R as like a programming language that makes it very easy for you to just write down a few lines of code and then get a result. I don't know, do a regression analysis or throw some fancy algorithms at a problem. That's not that hard, but you need to be interested in it and also understand that you have to be critical when you look at the results, because it's always the thing that that you can say garbage in, garbage out. So if like your input data is crap, then your results will also be crap, or like not really the thing you would, I don't know, the insights you seek won't be possible. And also a bit of statistics is necessary to understand what makes sense and what does not make sense. But if someone is really interested in the topic, there's no need to have like some basic computer science classes. It's just so easy to start working with it today, at least.
So you can, so you could maybe, I think there was a thing like at Google also. I think I searched it once. There was like a learn your own artificial intelligence programming thing or so, which I just started out once just for interest. And so because you have these like combinations of like, so I don't really get like what it's about, but it's like, it was like this combination of like, I don't know, like dots and points, and they just branch out after that and so on. But I don't know, like, can you like explain it a bit more?
It like really depends what algorithm or whatever you try to analyze. But I think one can differentiate into applying these things and being less critical about the insights, how these algorithms work, as long as the results that they produce are meaningful for you. So if you want to predict, if you like have a data set and there are like machines in it, and some variable tells you whether this machine is like breaking down or not. So you try to find like which sensor data tells you when the machine is going to break, something that's called predictive maintenance. Then you can say, okay, if I apply some kind of algorithm and the results really tell me how how this underlying mechanism works. So I can tell with my results that in these cases it will break down, and when some new data points arrive, I can also apply that and tell what's going to happen. That's a good thing, but if you really want to dig deep and understand how the algorithm works, so the results come out at the end, then that's a different step, way more complicated step, but also necessary to really find the best solution. Because you can always like throw the simple simple regression analysis at some problem that most people probably understand, and it will probably give you decent results. But if you want to get like the last 5-10% performance out of it, then you really need to understand the nature of the problem, and that's where statistics and some deep knowledge is required.
Okay, so it's mostly statistics what artificial intelligence is about, or is it like it's a statistical program that connects different pathways or so, and then this turns it into like
probabilities and a lot of statistics and some concepts how you link this together. And basically what you do is you look at your data points. Typically you like divide this into supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Supervised learning means that you have a data set where the result is given and you learn from these results. So basically you have the example I gave earlier with the machines, where you have like some column that tells you machine breaks down or works properly. You know, and then you have like a data set of like 1,000 rows and some, I don't know, 20 variables, and one of them holds your result if the machine like breaks down or works. And then this is called supervised learning. Then your algorithm looks through these patterns in the data you have and tries to come up with some rules, basically, or simply put, and some abstract rules how which combinations of variables might be an indicator for the breakdown of the machine. And with this, you can like try different things to derive these patterns. And some of them are really like complex, and some of them are kind of simple. And that's one thing how basically machine learning, artificial intelligence, however you want to name it, works. The other thing is unsupervised learning, where you do not have this result variable, but you try to find patterns in a data set with no real result given. So if you have again, our example with the machine and the different variables, and you do not have this information whether it will break down or not, but you can have or can try to define clusters in this data. So like different types of machines, maybe types of unusual behaviors or whatever in this data, and then you divide it into different groups or clusters, and then you can analyze, interpret these for additional insights. But it really like boils down to these two approaches: supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Okay. And these make up like the most of this buzzwords that we hear and see I don't know, in the news and everywhere else. Okay.
So the supervised learning, so you have this like net maybe, or like that's how I would like at least describe it, how I would see it is you have this net, and then you have these combinations, like these different kinds of combinations which are like possible in a scenario. For example, when there's like, I don't know, like a car driving on the street, for example, and then there's a pedestrian or so, and like, so what could the pedestrian do in whatever scenario or so? And then you have this, so then you have an algorithm which like reads this
Yeah,
like
and
data,
it gets
like the
some,
possible.
it gets like lots of data, and tries to, or like the car has been fed with tons of data before, and many different scenarios where a pedestrian was walking down the street, and with this data that was fed into the algorithm, the system kind of has an idea how this pedestrian might react or what he might do. And this is then basically applied when the car's driving down the road and the camera like sees the pedestrian. It tries to match that, simply put, with the data that was given to the system, and then it comes up with an idea how to react to this. But it always depends on like how much data was already given to the system before. And for autonomous driving, they use like tons, hours, years of driving data basically to get all these situations right and then the reaction right basically. And the more data you give it, the better it gets. That's like the simple thing.
Okay. And so the algorithm reads, like for example, like so the algorithm reads this combination network or so, and then it kind of sees, okay, so how many combinations do we have, and how often, for example, there's pedestrian crossing the street, how often has it happened maybe that the pedestrian stops in the middle of the street randomly, like so
Yeah,
would that be an example? So the pedestrian crosses the street, car is coming, so what is the car doing is like,
yeah,
I mean,
like,
in any case, it has to stop, right?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there's a pedestrian.
Yeah, of course.
But
like in this, like if the pedestrian is crossing the street and the car like knows how far it's is going down the road and can basically calculate whether the pedestrian at its current speed will like pass the street or if there's like the risk of a collision, then obviously the algorithm or the system has been trained to do not hit pedestrians, so hit the brakes, and these rules basically is something that you kind of need to give to the system before, because how is the system supposed to know that it's not allowed to hit pedestrians or that they cause harm for the whole thing? But that's like the mixture, because in autonomous driving you have this problem that you do not want to have these cases where bad things happen. You do not want to have self-driving cars driving down the road hitting pedestrians, because like after this has happened a few times the algorithm gets better. That's not how this works in practice, you know. They need to figure these risky cases out before they really let these cars drive down the street.
Okay, so and I would also think that the car has to react to something that is happening, right? So the car has to react to the pedestrian is crossing the street. So the car realizes that and it stops, for example.
Yeah.
So it does not predict like the action of people like walking on the street or passing the street.
Nobody can match these that's like the part where the car identifies that the pedestrian is walking on the street, and that's basically a case of identifying this in the camera and putting this into the system, that they know, okay, now we have this case where something is walking on the street and we might collide with that. And from this case that something walks on the street, they have like different options how to handle this. So hit the brakes, I don't know, turn to the right, turn to the left, whatever. And with all the data that comes in over the camera, so whether the pedestrian is walking from left to right, whether it's like a guy in the wheelchair or not, or something like that, this can influence the decision that the system executes. And that's also the problem that these autonomous driving cars have. Probably you are aware of this MIT experiment where they this moral machine where they came up with some scenarios and people voted how the autonomous car should behave. So when you have a car driving down the road and in front of you are two little children walking down the street, and you know that there's only like 10 meters to these children, so braking is not an option. And on the left side is a guy that was in jail for 1 year. So would you like consider it's a better decision to hit the guy who was in jail or hit the two children? That's something that's really hard to decide. And really this problem only comes up when we have machines doing that, because when it's a human driving this car, it's just a matter of milliseconds when the decision is made, and then we can't really analyze this because
True.
It's just like reaction.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is like what I think is just strange to me, because so people so it is being explained, or this is like discussed a lot. I think in discussion in Europe, I think it is like European discussion also again, I think, where we have these like moral dilemmas, moral problems. So like, how does the car decide in which situation morally right? So is this a realistic scenario? Because to me this is how can a car understand whether a person is like 80 years old or 10 years old, and so which person should the car hit now?
These scenarios are a bit like to, I don't know, put to precisely that people attach really like emotions with that. Obviously the machine won't know like whether this person was in jail or not. Like it's not something that you can identify by having a camera put on him. But there are problems. So, for instance, when you have a family walking down the street and two old ladies standing on the other side, and you have the same dilemma. It's something that the machine will come up with some reaction to it, but the question is whether we want to leave that decision to the machine, or do we have a better idea how to decide in this situation? Because it's always like people have an opinion what would be better, but it's a very, very complex field. This whole moral dilemma thing, and there are new problems because philosophers like 200 years ago did not see that coming. That we once will be in this situation where we have this situation, and there's no right or wrong. It's always depending on your point of view.
Exactly, and this is also what I don't fully understand, is because I ask myself often, like, how often does this actually happen? How often is it that like you drive on the street and there is, like the super complicated network of people that are crossing the street, and you don't know whether that's, are you going to hit now the grandma or like the young child or so? I mean, like, how often does it actually happen, and is it really necessary to discuss these things? This is to me like what I don't understand sometimes.
Yeah, it's not nothing that happens every day or so, but if you think at the big scale, and when we talk autonomous driving, it's always the thing that we need to keep in mind, that this might be influencing the lives of hundreds of millions of people, and then these edge cases might become something worth talking about. And it's
Very
also
true.
something that really polarizes people, like people that fear technology and the progress it makes, and all the digital services that we use, and people that are not that afraid of change.
Yeah.
But it's like a discussion that needs to happen. at some
Yeah. I think it probably needs to happen, but then I feel like sometimes, to me, this is just that people try to stop this, or they say, okay, so if you have an autonomous car and it might hit the wrong person in the wrong situation, so this is a reason for not having an autonomous car, for example.
Yeah.
Also, so this is sometimes like, to me, where I feel like in Germany or in Europe we have this discussion, and people tend to be like, oh, so critical about that, and this is so bad, and this is not good.
But all the people that were hit because a human driver was not able to get like a real simple problem out of the way and got into an accident, that's not something we discuss that frequently, because it happens like all day, all week,
Exactly.
thousand times.
Exactly. And so, and this is like why I asked myself, why are we, as you mentioned, you said edge cases, or like these, like it can happen. Obviously, these are situations which might happen, but this is so early, this discussion, because we don't have autonomous cars yet. So, and we don't know when we will have them. Maybe it will take another couple of years. And so, why this discussion now? So this is, to me, the thing that I don't really understand sometimes.
Yeah, but if you like postpone it, we'll have it later. That's the issue. But today it does not impact that much, because we don't have autonomous cars driving down the road fully by themselves. Maybe like in the next 5 years, but not today. But as like I don't know, there are a lot of things that depend on decisions that may be done by the government or whatever to promote autonomous driving or not, and it's always necessary to discuss the risks or potentials that come with it. And while it will likely take another 5 years before we have it, but it will come someday, and we need to be prepared, basically. At least the law and everything needs to be prepared to allow it, or come up with some rules that need to be implemented in software in autonomous driving cars that make it fair, or how you want to put it.
Exactly. So when do you think autonomy will happen, autonomous car driving in here in Germany or in Europe, for example? So to drive, like to get in your car, completely free. You get in the car and it drives you from everywhere, from A to B, everywhere, with no
I don't know
interference, whatever, nothing.
Let's say like the first cars you can buy with this feature, maybe like in 5 to 10 years.
5 to 10, really?
Yeah, I think like the maybe like, it's always depending on what level we're talking about with this autonomous driving, but the pace at which these systems become better is something to look at, and it's already working in other countries better than in Germany, obviously. But when we have the legal problems out of the way, and they can basically be used in Germany, if the software is available, then I think it's just a matter of a few years.
A few years, yeah. Because I think so. In California, they started. I'm not sure I think it was last year, where they rolled out this Tesla full self-driving beta, where people just selected people who owned a Tesla were able to download this beta to their car, and now the car is driving pretty much autonomously, pretty much everywhere. But this, I think, is only in California. So what I'm wondering is like, so when does it start here? So I recently read, I think I read last week, that the German government now says we want to implement the rules to be the first country in Europe to allow in certain zones or certain regions autonomous driving. But this will start only next year, so 2022 then. So where I'm like, okay, in California, they're already average people are driving like a Tesla from, and it does everything. Like it turns and it stops and everywhere. So I feel like we're a couple of years behind, not due to like, I mean, of course we have also like technological lag because the German car companies are not that advanced as Tesla, for example, is. But also regulations, because the government is like, okay, we want to be the first one in Europe, but only like next year. Whereas in the US, they've done it for like 6 to 9 months now, I think.
Yeah, I think so, the regulations are a big problem, but it will take longer than a year, even if they want to start now, before they got this done, because it's so complex to introduce new things in Germany, especially in things like mobility stuff, basically. But at some point they will figure it out, and maybe the pressure will also come from the market that there are these solutions, but they are just not usable in Germany because they don't get their regulatory stuff straight. Then maybe it will speed up a bit. But you can see this like across the board. Take card payments, for instance. That's also like pretty basic stuff that took ages before there was like wide adoption in Germany. Now it's getting better because of the pandemic, but we're always laggards.
You mean like
these things?
You mean digital payment or what?
Yeah, like just paying by card, paying by phone. In stores. That's like just one example, but there are many more.
Totally. So there are so many fields where I think we can be faster, but for some reason we are not. Maybe we're also afraid at some point before very
we don't want to be the first, like in many things. It's always that we rather like take a step back and watch how others do the first steps, and then we try to introduce it, but it's always like very complex things to get this regulatory stuff out of the way, and then there also needs to be adoption among the people, and there's also, I think, quite a lot of people that are not that embracing new technology, and this always makes things slow. But that's just the way it is. I think it's even a cultural thing that we are not that into changing everything
new
like
stuff,
radically.
new technology. We're afraid. Kind of. But this is a problem. I think this is like mobile payment would be like equivalent, because we're so slow in mobile payment and digital payment in Germany or in Europe. This is like comparable to also what happened with Wirecard, the mobile digital payment firm that just went bankrupt due to a huge fraud thing where 2 billion euros were just lost or never existed in the company before. So I feel like we're like, I don't know if we're actually able to handle technology, if our economy is ready for technological change already, because our economy is so strongly in like rooted in the 20th century. I think with car manufacturing, machine manufacturing, chemistry, all this stuff, but which was huge when it started with the Industrial Revolution. Actually, that started where it was like, wow, what an advanced society! How modern this society is, and this economy. But now I feel like not that much anymore.
Not that much like innovative stuff is happening because the old big industries don't really show us the way. There are like new players coming up, and they are almost exclusively sitting across the Atlantic and not in Europe.
Exactly. Yeah. So was it a thing that was discussed in your study course or with your people there? Who were they like interested in working for like bigger firms, tech firms, also maybe in the US? Was it like a thing, or were they like afraid, and were they saying like, okay, in Germany we don't have this many options? Was it even like an issue, or was it not really like
I don't know. I think rather than Google, Apple, Facebook and so on, people were more looking for jobs at consultancies, like as a primary goal. But I think it's also kind of hard to get into these companies because typically you think that you do some fancy AI development stuff, and that's really like hardcore computer science programming skills necessary, and not this intermediary stuff that we do. So between the business side and the IT side, it's more like a focus on one of them. So I only know one person who's now working at doing some Alexa related stuff at Amazon, but I think they was it in Cologne? I don't know, but he's still in Germany, and for me personally, it's not a goal to work for these big tech firms, but rather like for something that not necessarily a German company, but at least not these hegemon bad big companies that do not have only the good side, but also like some darker side, say like tax evasion stuff and so on, and also this data privacy stuff might be also something worth discussing when working for Facebook or something. That's an issue.
Yeah, true. So I think also like Facebook is like the company of those which has like not the best reputation.
Yeah,
I would say. Yeah. So if I had the choice, I think I would not want to work for Facebook because I'm not a fan of Mark Zuckerberg. I don't really like him because I think he's just a dude who's, I don't know. I mean, I think that's what Joe Rogan said once. He said Mark Zuckerberg is a smart guy who's very ambitious, but Elon Musk, for example, he's like a legit genius. That's what he said. And I think that's true, that Mark Zuckerberg is just a guy who says he said actually once, he said that what's good for the world is not necessarily good for Facebook. That is what he said during a meeting at the Facebook headquarters, where you're like, okay, so what kind of what evil plan has he? What does he think? Yeah. So I don't know, and his weird appearance in social media, where he's trying to be all cool and nice and pretty, I'm the nicest guy ever. I'm the neighbor type guy, that you know from the hallway or whatever.
Yeah.
To me, it's just sketchy. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't like working for them. No, it's not an option. From the big ones, I think Apple is the one I can say, well, okay, would be an option. If I had the option, because at least they communicate this policy that they don't want to be evil. And I don't know, to stuff with your data and so on. They either are really smart in their marketing, that people like really believe that, including me, that they strive for the safe and trustworthy working with my data, my personal data, but they managed to get some changes in place that really pissed the other big players off, I think, because when you look at the new iOS and how this sign in with Apple thing, for instance, works, it's always that you sign in with your Apple ID, but the other service that you could want to connect to only gets like some randomly generated email address, and basically nothing else from your personal data, which is for the other service not really that valuable, because they always want to like know what you like, know what you do with your phone and so on. And the best thing to connect this is to have like some sort of email address, of social media account. Then you can like connect the dots and everything. But if you get like some kind of anonymous, randomly generated email address from the Apple sign-in service and nothing else, this business model does not really work, because they need your data to I don't know, place ads and generate value out of it.
Yeah, and they also need to train their algorithms, I think, right? So,
and if they get the service is not that good, that's also connected to that. And that's a smart move from Apple, I think, because they really like get the trust of their customers.
True. This is what I see also, but then I'm always kind of like, is this also the smartest thing? Because of course you can discuss like, okay, Facebook is not nice because it's like using all your data, it's selling it to everyone who wants to buy it. So that's their business model, but they also depend on it because they don't have anything else. Actually, they only have data. Whereas Apple creates actually value through products they sell, like iPhones and iPads and whatever. But still, I'm not sure whether this is so smart, because I think that when they don't use the data that their users have, they can't train algorithms well, and they can't train the artificial intelligence that they have in-house, whatever.
Yeah, of course. So they need data to get their services working better, or at least, let's say better. But it's also like their problem, so basically Facebook's problem, that they always rely on this thing that their services are for free, and you can use them without paying anything directly, but just like paying with your data, basically. And same with Google. So it's maybe something worth considering, that we use these services 100 times a week or whatever, but we never pay Google a cent. So probably in future, when we are more aware of the circumstance and maybe think, okay, I want to use Google, but I do not want to sell my data. Maybe I need to pay 5 cents per Google request for using their services. And then maybe they don't need to sell my to get my data or get that much data from me, but can still make profit with their services. But it still does not solve the problem that they need data to improve their predictions, their algorithms, their systems, and so on. Exactly. That's something that is in the nature of this business. I think.
So it's a part of the business actually, and so I think that because Google has the Google search, so you have so many people searching every day, typing in things and whatever. And so this algorithm must be trained crazily, because when you type in something, for example, like, I don't know, whatever, like, I don't know, like, who's the president of whatever, Russia, and it will like propose you Vladimir Putin, and then you type in another time who's the president of, and then you have like this list of like countries already that it's like proposing to you. And then when you like dig deeper to a subject, it already answers the question before you even finish typing the question. So this is like the thing.
But most of the time, these recommendations can also be made without knowing who you are, because it does not matter. Like when you type in president of America, I don't know, president of Russia, then these recommendations and what you type in and everything, they probably can have this data from me, and I don't think, okay, that's not that critical. But what I would judge differently is when you probably most people don't know that, but like what they also get you from your screen or from your Instagram account or whatever, how many seconds you look at a certain picture before you scroll to the next, the whole cookie thing, so which pages you visit, how long do you visit these pages, what do you put in your shopping cart, what did you buy, everything like that. That's like connected to your personality or personal data, basically. That's an issue. But like getting my usage data from some Google queries, I'd say, okay, they can have that. Like that I first searched for president of Russia, and then for Vladimir Putin, and then for Alexander Navalny. They can have that, but they should not have my personal, much more personal data from me.
So you're critical towards that subject. So you think that you don't want that your personal data is sold.
I think I am not critical about that, but I think people should be more aware that they're basically selling themselves when they use these services quite frequently, and should not be surprised that they find out that they try to get every piece of data they can get from you.
True.
Because that's basically how their business works. So when you use these services, please keep in mind that that you're paying with your data, but don't be surprised about that.
Yeah, true. But have you ever wondered, because I wonder a lot about that subject, that the phones, like the iPhones, I believe that they listen to what you say most of the time, because I have so many ads when I go on. I mean, actually I deleted my Facebook, but before when I still had Facebook, I had these ads about things where I just discussed about a friend with half an hour ago during lunch or whatever, whether like, and not even like only ads, also videos and stuff like that were proposed to you. And sometimes I'm wondering like whether it's just, coincidence, or whether they actually listen to your conversations, and they, when you mention all the time where, for example, you passed a red light and the police stopped you, and you say police, red light, whatever, it does this. Or for example, I sent a friend a WhatsApp audio message about that the police stopped me because I passed a red light with the bike, and the police, I had this police control or whatever, and then he got ads also of like insurance companies who said, what happens in case the police takes your license away or whatever. But it was an audio message I sent him about this issue.
Yeah, so I think it's weird. Like, I personally do not think that they listen, like that the phones listen to some degree, at least iPhones. I do not think that's the case, but more likely that you use some services to get more information about that. So I don't know if your friend made some Google query that kind of makes it probable that this ad will be chosen to show to him, to be shown to him. But I don't think it's a matter of like really listening or spying on people with their phones. With the Alexa things, I'm not that sure. Maybe like they are listening quite sometimes, but the phones in general, I think that's like, first of all, kind of complex in terms of draining battery. That's something that no user wants to have. And second, like getting this data from your phone back to some other server. So you need to be connected in some way and then get the data out of the way. I think this would leave traces. People would or like some people that are really critical about that would have found these cues that this happens, that this data is transferred to some server. So I don't think this happens.
But technically it would be possible.
Yeah, of course. But everything is possible. But the systems, the operating systems are very strict. So at least like on an iPhone, this functionality would have to be something that comes from Apple directly, because no app would be allowed to get this data during like when you do not have this app open. You're not allowed to record something, and even if you do, you have like this red microphone button at the top left, I think. So they're pretty strict when it comes to these apps that copy some stuff. The funny thing about that is that I think it was some months ago, Apple released a new policy that apps cannot look into the stuff you copied on your iPhone. And when they released this, the TikTok app crashed or needed an update or something like that, because like they got this data, they checked whether you have something in the clipboard every like 20 seconds or so, and this just copied this stuff back to some server and analyzed this. And this is like a good example of how creepy apps can get when you do not have the right operating system that limits their use. Because when you think what stuff do you have in your clipboard, it can be something like your, I don't know, credit card number, some other personal information, things that you do not want to share. And that's just one case that went public, but I think there are some more probably that will come up
with that.
With that, like not only with TikTok, of course, but with other apps that I don't know, young people use and do not think really about what they expose when they use it. And
yeah, but this is also something where I'm not completely sure whether Apple, for example, can control when you text someone via WhatsApp or Facebook. Can Apple control that this text that you text someone is not being put into a cloud and then used as data? I don't think so.
No, like that's the matter of implementation from the WhatsApp side, for instance. Apple just like has control over the stuff that happens on the phone to like the server where they send these messages to, and whether they are like then sent to the people that was to the guy that was meant to receive these messages is another thing that Apple cannot control, because like it's the infrastructure of WhatsApp, whether they decrypt and they encrypt this message and only decrypt this on the phone of the recipient, as they say, that WhatsApp does not know what you are writing, because like they encrypt the message on your phone, send it over to the other guy, and then decrypt it on the phone. That's something that they say, and probably they also do, but maybe there's some step in between where they store this message for, I don't know, backup reasons or whatever. And this always is a case where things can go wrong and not the way you intended it to work. But that's not something that Apple can control.
Okay. Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
it's only
Yeah.
on the phone. That's Apple's area of I don't know, responsibility.
Yeah.
Not really, but yeah.
True. And so and this is maybe also where Apple's privacy strategy is limited.
Yeah.
Because you have the App Store and you have all these different apps there.
Yeah.
And this just makes it
but like they have like kind of strict
uncontrollable for
rules
them.
what an app is allowed to do when it gets into the App Store, some regulations, data that they are allowed to fetch from your phone, and a lot of rules basically. So an app cannot do everything because it always needs to comply with the rules that Apple set up on their phone, and they're kind of strict with that.
Yeah.
Much more than Android/Google is on their phones.
Okay, yeah. True. So, but here is another thing. This is not about data or anything. It's just about Apple at all itself. The products they make. To me, I feel like I was never like a big fan of Steve Jobs, for example, because it wasn't like when he I think he died in 2011. So I was like quite young then.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is just my personal view. That Apple products are not really improving. I feel like the next generation and the next generation of iPhones is like slightly decreasing, like the technology itself and how the products are done and made and what they're not getting a lot better. And this is just my impression is that Steve Jobs was so dominant in that firm that he created great products while he was in there, but once he died in 2011, the product quality and the actual innovation of completely entirely new products has actually decreased.
Yeah, but to be fair, like he was also around at a time where there was there were many advancements that you could integrate into a product that was not there before, because the whole smartphone thing started off a few years before he died, and obviously this product category advanced with the iPhone 4 or whatever to like a considerable degree with respect to the competitors or the iPhone 3GS or whatever. But now we're at a maturity level basically with smartphones that they pretty much have like very nice cameras, the screen is awesome. I don't know, the battery life is something to improve, but that's just a physical limit, because people want to have small phones but nice battery capacity. They will improve, and I agree that the innovation is not that present in any product, in every product category at Apple, but I think they're trying really hard, and Steve Jobs did an incredible job, but he had like a nice environment to do this.
True. So the technology wasn't that evolved yet, maybe.
And like they were it was involved, but not like at a certain product category. There were computers and everything, but like only crappy smartphones. And he just revolutionized that.
Yeah, which weren't that great. But true. I completely agree. But then again, he did do some things maybe. So he had the iPod, I think, which was like the one big thing. And there was the iPhone, which was the biggest thing probably. But then there was also the iPad, which I think was also his big thing. His thing actually. Yeah, but and then he died, and then what? Okay, so you had the AirPods.
The AirPods are kind of
wireless
nice.
AirPods, which and the Apple Watch.
Yeah, the Apple Watch. I know that's like I'd say the iPad and iPhone are way more important in general than the development of the Apple Watch, because like they changed quite some things. The Apple Watch is more like a toy, I'd say, than a real leap. But yeah, they offer like some services that are new and to some extent, yeah, people like that. So take this Apple Music stuff that's not really new, but still like tons of people use that. Now they combine this with this Apple TV Plus, with this fitness subscription thing that's only available in the US. So they kind of built like these service bundles on top of their hardware products. So they do not only sell you the phone, but they sell you this subscription thing. And with this, they have like reoccurring revenue every month, year, whatever. Because they realized that with hardware, they make good money, like with every iPhone, but it's limited. People do not buy more than like, I don't know, an iPhone every 2 years. For some people, maybe every year, but to really like get more out of their customers, they need to offer some services that are reoccurring, so that you just pay by month. Yeah. You can also like pay, I think, get like some sort of leasing basically for your iPhone, so that you have a subscription where you pay like, I don't know, 50 euros a month, and every year you get a new iPhone. That's also kind of smart for them, because they always like lure in the customers. They are happy to pay like a relatively small amount every month, but constantly buy stuff.
Yes.
And buy more of
it. Yes, it is. So this is totally important, and this is also the purpose of the company, I think. But so, and I completely agree with what you say, but what I'm missing is like this core innovation, this hardcore product innovation. I'm not talking about like service like Apple TV, which is just copying Netflix, but it is. Apple Music, which has existed a long time before, which was never like super popular, but you have Spotify, for example, which was like the first one to revolutionize really like this, big music market and stuff.
It's not really innovative,
No, so that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that like the products. So you have the iPhone, yes. You have the iPad, yes. The AirPods was a thing, yes. And I don't want to say that it's like nothing, but from like the perspective of like the phone also, I don't know. Like there hasn't been like this big like these leaps, and so you have this discussion right now about Apple wants a cooperation with Hyundai. I think it was Hyundai about building a car or whatever. And now they said again, like, okay, no, we're not going to do it. But so I'm like, what is the
these
strategy?
Glasses that they might introduce, these VR or AR
the
things like that you can, I don't know what it's really, if it's like something you look through or just like a monitor like in front of your eyes that you don't see anything of the real world. But this might be something that they try to launch as a major innovation in a few years, or like the car, as you mentioned. But I think the time of these big leaps in especially in consumer electronics, so smartphones and so on, it's probably over. I don't think that the iPhone will be, of course, it will be faster and I don't know, lighter and brighter from the display, whatever, the next iPhone that will come. And a lot of people will pay the 1,200 euros for it, but it will not be that much of a change compared to the last year's generation.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
And I think there's maybe a problem, because this is then again like the leap back to Steve Jobs, where I'm like, there has to be a person in that company which is driven and innovative and actually also maybe owns the majority of the company or has a big stake in it and a big say, lots of influence to push these projects and to develop these new products. And to me, like Tim Cook, I'm not sure whether he's like this as innovative, maybe whether he's as good. He's not like Elon. Why is Elon Musk so I don't know, so popular? Why is everybody talking about it?
Yeah.
Because he's like pulling off like hardcore innovative product developments, and Apple used to be a symbol for that, I think.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of like losing this this brand, this character.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's nothing compared to what Elon is doing, what Apple does. Then way less radical in
it's not as radical
in their mindset. But maybe they have something, but they don't want to tell us right now, and they wait just like a few years so that the time is right, because the whole company is kind of like not telling much about this car project, for instance. I'm sure that there is some crazy shit going on there, and they have some remarkable results, but they do not want to share this with us. And I think Tesla and Elon Musk in general is taking like a bit of a different approach. They do not tell like everything, but they are way more provocative in putting this on Twitter or showing like what can we do, what have we accomplished, and this generates the assumption that the others do nothing, but maybe they just don't want to tell us right now.
Yeah, true. So you think it's also a thing of that Tesla or Elon Musk is communicating better than the others?
Yeah,
but
more
maybe not
more offensively. And
but that he's not maybe much more innovative, or that
he is definitely, but the distance between the other companies, or like between Elon Musk's and his companies and the others, maybe the distance is not that big. Maybe it's just like a matter of communication, or like how secretive they are and what strategy they follow.
True. And this is also what I thought, that maybe also Apple is maybe over mature as a company itself, because it has been here for so long already. And I mean, it was founded, I think, in the 80s or so. And so Steve Jobs pushed it. Now he's gone. And now they still profit off of that brand and the image and all that. But like the product development cycle, I think this innovations curve. It flattens kind of. Like it doesn't go like this. It goes like that kind of.
Yeah.
And this is maybe, to me, this has to do something also with like the maturity of the firm. The younger firm, maybe
they're more
this goes,
risky.
the innovation curve goes maybe. And this is the case for Tesla, I think, and the case for SpaceX.
Yeah.
Who are a lot younger, but who are very talented people, who are radical in their approach, radical in communication, radical in innovation, and who are also trying, who not like analyzing things. They just like go straight into just starting something, building starships or whatever, and then just whether it explodes or not, it doesn't matter, because they just do it, and they experiment with it, and. So this is, I think, this is a important thing, and this is also why I think that it is so strongly, it correlates so strongly with the person who's driving. I mean, you have to have talented people, but the main driver has to be like one person who says, this is our ultimate goal.
Leader,
the leader who pushes the people, who tells them like, you have to do this, and you have to put like 150% into this thing. Otherwise, we're going to fail. Yeah. And once he implements this ideology, it's kind of like an ideology to the people, then they're like, he's right. Like, we have to do it, And this is how they, I think, improve so much. How they, are so strong. Or why Tesla and SpaceX is improving so much on this innovation curve, whereas Apple, who is lacking a charismatic, innovative leader, is somewhat like that.
Yeah, but you must notice at least that what Tim Cook is not that charismatic as Elon Musk, of course, but he managed to like in terms of revenue and profits over the last 10 years, 10 years basically since he became CEO is astonishing, because what he did like for the operations and for the sales basically, basically all KPIs that shareholders like, and how the company is developing, he made a pretty good job. But from this underdog innovator thing, this really does not work really good together when you, on the one hand, want to develop the company that's really profitable and selling a lot of stuff, and on the other hand, trying to be like the underdog that does like the new product that no one has ever seen and knew that this might be possible. So maybe there will be other times, and maybe they have something that they will introduce in the coming years. But for now, I agree. Like the leadership style of Elon Musk and the things that his companies pull off are, not even. Well, Apple is not even close to that.
And maybe also, maybe Apple is so mature, and I mean it's Apple is such a huge company also, revenue, in terms of revenue, because it's gigantic revenue, also lots of employees, but like the money they make is just like, and they have so much money. This Apple is like basically, I think, like a huge global like investment fund also, because they just have billions and billions of dollars, but I think they're not maybe like entirely using.
No, probably they can't think about meaningful ways to use all this money, so they decide, okay, I don't know, save it for some other times. But just because they have the money does not mean they need to like throw everything into this car project, because it's always like you have to think what really makes sense, and to throw money in, and what maybe it's a smarter strategy to wait until like certain stages in the product development are passed, and then you can like scale up and invest billions of dollars. But at this early stage, probably it doesn't make sense.
Maybe not. And maybe it's also, maybe Apple is not the right company to do that. Maybe they say, we're good in what we do. We sell these products. We make money with it a lot still. And but we don't want to go into these hardcore, I don't know, risky innovation things, whatever. I don't know. I think Amazon is a good example, for example, because Amazon has like a completely different innovation style, I think. Because what I read is that Jeff Bezos is trying to let his company do and innovate by itself. He says that people should just be free, and they should like innovate like how they want to, wherever they want to. And hopefully good product comes out by that. But then also like there's lots of failures coming out by that. Like you have this Amazon Fire phone, I think that's what you had, and Alexa is somewhat okay, but you had several products which were like not successful. For Amazon, this is like whatever, like it's Amazon, okay, so this happens. But when Apple is pulling like a project because it has this perfection approach, that if you create a product and it's not perfect and people do not like it, this is a huge failure for Apple, because people are used to the perfection. And this is maybe hard. This is maybe the problem. Maybe they are blocked. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they're too afraid. Too
afraid of losing or messing things up. Might be, because I'm thinking about like products that really messed up Apple's image, but like they had this social media thing, this app iTunes Ping, that was like a social network they launched.
Really?
8 years ago or something. That was like total disaster. kind of like Google Plus, but even like it was way crappier than Google Plus. So this did not work at all. But from product wise, I can't think about a product that really like did not go well, because all the iPads are a huge success, the iPhones. Okay, there are no new AirPods, but they did not release new AirPods, so that's not a failure. Yeah, maybe that's they have so many things that they are not ready to show because they don't meet their quality standards. Might be an explanation.
Yeah, true. But this is also maybe why they never started creating a TV, for example, television.
Yeah.
Because they were also afraid. They said like, if we make a TV, we're not so sure. I mean, because Samsung is doing lots of TVs, but I mean they're so cheap right now. I mean you can buy like a good average screen, like a full HD 4K TV screen for like 300 euros, 350. It's an average size TV. So this is not like much money you can make with that maybe anymore. And so maybe this is also like another core problem, that the technology has matured so much that the prices are going further and further down. And as this maturity thing like improves, the prices go down further. And for Apple, it's a dilemma, because they don't know out of which products can we get our best margin. Maybe.
Yeah, probably they know that, but the problem with this maturity phenomenon is that you like typically assume that there are some new product categories coming along where you can make some money in. So for instance, take the AirPods, like this market of wireless headphones was something that developed over the last, I'd say, 7-8 years maybe. Before, of course, there were headphones, but no one was wearing 200, 300, 500 euro headphones 8 years ago. No one did. Then like these noise cancellation stuff came, the Bose, and everyone was doing quite nice products. And now we see that these AirPods Max from Apple launch like really like late to the party, but still people are paying like 600 euros for freaking like over-ear headphones. And that's more like, I don't know, you can get three pairs of Bose's like quite nice noise cancellation headphones for that money. But still it works. And they're late, but still like these are kind of innovative, at least to a part, because they have thought about this product thoroughly. And
would you buy those, the new ones?
I don't know, like maybe like if I can listen to them and have like a proper use case. So maybe if I'm traveling a lot and like I'm often on the plane or on the in the train, might be a use case. But for me right now, nah.
No, they're expensive. And this is like also why I'm not sure whether they're like much better than the like the Bose
probably not
headphone that you have right now. Are they better, or is it just the price?
Maybe like a bit better, I think they are, but I haven't listened like music to them, but probably not that good that they that it's fair to say they cost 300 euros more than the other ones.
You wouldn't say it's a fair thing?
Yeah, probably not.
No, that's and maybe this is then there again, because I mean you are an Apple customer, I think, because you enjoy Apple products, I think. I do too. But this is also like where I more often get to the point where I'm like, no, I'm not gonna buy it. Like this is so expensive. So like the MacBooks, if you want a good MacBook, this is insanely expensive. Like if you pay 2,000 euros for a computer, we're like, no. You know, and when it comes to like the hardcore customers who already bought often Apple products, who already bought often iPhones, and stuff like that, when they get to the point where it's too expensive for them, what about the other customers who are just who are already often more skeptical and said, okay, I'm not going to buy like every 2 years, as you said, a new iPhone. What about them? They're not going to buy a 2,000 euro MacBook. They're not going to buy 600 euro headphones from Apple. So you see, like, they're losing a big portion of customers. I think they're targeting more and more high-priced premium market segments, but this is not a mass market. 600 euro headphones is not a mass market.
Yeah, but,
so
think about all the consultants that buy this stuff.
Yeah, true, totally. But still, like, how
next to their Remova, like cases where they like run around the airport, like everyone will have these fancy headphones.
But true. I mean, it's an absolute status symbol. I think. Completely agree. But how big is that market actually? Like, if you put it in numbers, how big is the market? How many willing customers would you have? I mean, you're already targeting a certain age group. I don't think that someone over 60 is going to buy these huge headphones.
No, probably not.
So you're between like 15 or maybe 10 years, 15 and between 15 and 40 maybe. Maybe these customers, but they have to have the money.
Yeah, but I think they know who, like, that they are willing to accept that they are not a company for like the middle class thing, or person that is not that well suited money wise. But they say, okay, there are enough people that are willing to pay the price tag for the new iPhone, and I think this is a strategy, and they not need to be this middle class or company for the middle class. They do luxury products, and their mission is to do like the best products possible. That's basically the thing, and also, like, think about the car makers. Like Bentley is also not interested in doing cars for 30,000 euros.
True. Yeah, true. So you think they're targeting more like the luxury segment?
They want to be
pushing
luxury.
Towards that.
Yeah, and everyone wants to, because like that's like the status symbol. Our iPhones and everything are a status symbol. This works basically. People like their products. People like to show that they have this new phone.
Yep.
And
it's social status.
Yeah.
And this is what Steve Jobs also, he said, it's not only social status, it's social currency. This is how he defined his product and his company, and this is true, but the product is going into this direction where it's just getting this luxurious that it is, I think, getting harder and harder for customers, I think. And so they're targeting like a niche. They're going towards a niche of the market. Yeah. And I don't know if that's... At some point, this is not going to work out anymore, because the technology, there still has to be this relationship between how good is the product and what is the price I can take for it. And when the price keeps moving up, but the product quality itself is like slightly improving, or like in comparison to Bose, for example, as you mentioned, it's not even better or only slightly better. Why would you pay double the price? So this is also, I think, it's a risky thing maybe, because maybe at some point this will not work out anymore for Apple, because people will be like, the technology is not worth the money anymore, and the status.
Yeah, it's just the brand basically that comes on top of the price tag that you are, like, when you just look at the very objectively looking at the features of the product and say, okay, this is a nice phone, and the amount you're willing to pay for this phone is like one number, and then you add up the brand value that you attach to Apple, and that's a lot. So you come up, like, maybe you're willing to pay theoretically 600 euros for this phone, but the brand value that Apple puts on top of this is 500. it still works, and they make ton of money with it.
Yeah.
But that's just how, they're a smart company with a really, really nice brand, and that's how they can manage to justify their pricing.
Yep.
Because it's ridiculous how expensive these products are. But one thing, as I mentioned earlier, they do to maybe, I don't know, put this big number aside for buying a new phone is all these subscriptions. I'm sure that will take like another year or so, and then you also have a subscription model for MacBooks that you can buy, say like 150 euros a month, and every year you can get a new MacBook. Like, I don't know if the pricing is realistic, but I'm sure this will be the next step.
Okay.
Because then people would just do not see like the big price tag when the new smartphone is released and say, "Ooh, 1,300 euros for a phone is, I don't know, maybe a bit too much." But if they are used to pay 50 euros a month for their iPhone subscription, then it's a no-brainer for them to just, I'll pay the 50 euros, but it doesn't hurt me. It's just like every month a bit, but not that big investment at a certain point in time.
True.
Yeah.
No, that's true. So and maybe they would make more money by that when
because like the customers just like are locked in
and so when you buy a new one every year, or when you get this subscription to the program, you will make more money. You will pay more money than when you buy a phone every 3 years or so.
You think
like a new
maybe my phone is still like in good shape. It's not that slow. I'll wait for the next generation of the iPhone. Maybe you say that when you are not in this subscription model, but if you have the subscription model, it's like no question. Yeah, of course I'll take the new phone.
Yeah. No, completely, totally. This makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And this is like the same thing with cars, right? When you buy a Tesla, for example, now, you can just lease it.
Yeah, this basically the idea of leasing is kind of similar, because with this you have the option to push like new vehicles into the market without people paying that much for them, because they just use them for 2 years, 3 years.
Yep. And then they continue to pay more.
Yeah, because like the car is not dead or like broken after the first leasing is ended.
True. Yeah. But then this is like a huge consumption cycle also, right? Yeah. Because you have this constant movement of like new products. You get like your car every 2 years, new, your phone every year, and your computer. So you will always like fed with new. Yeah,
and I'm sure things. That this is the way it will, like the path where we're developing into, that we always or like more often will use these subscription-based usage of or renting of consumer products.
Yeah, probably. It's probably going to happen. Well, so I think we already passed 1 hour and 30 minutes. So I thank you very much, Markus, for just coming.
You're welcome.
Talking a little bit about everything again, and you're welcome to come back anytime.
Yeah.
And see you guys.
All right.
Next time.
Bye bye.